Hi everyone, my name is Isabella Ramos. So the communication theory for human relationship that I picked was aggression communication. So let me tell you a little bit about it. So we argue regardless if it is with our parents, friends, or partner on a daily basis. When we are in the heat of the argument, we forget. We forget that what we say hurts, and we forget, you know, everything and regarding to how the other person may or may not feel about what we say, what we do. This can lead to more frustration or even violence of some sort. So according to the article, Recognizing and Dealing with Aggression, Moyer 1976 argues that aggression may be no more than verbal or symbolic, but violence denotes a form of human aggression that involves inflicting physical damage on a person or property. So the saying an eye for an eye, right? Of course, this isn't the only way we show aggression. So Buss 1961, who consider aggression as either hostile or instrumental aggression. Buss argued that hostile aggression occurs when the aggression behavior is aimed solely on hurting another. In other words, aggression for the sake of aggressions. Instrumental aggression occurred when aggression is a means to an end and includes self-defense. Either way of these behavior, we are hurting another person to get what we want. It is a lose-lose situation. Many studies state that aggression is an instinct. We are born with it and it's non-avoidable. I understand we all are guilty of it because it is the easy way out. When we are mad or frustrated, we want to make sure we get what we deserve. We forget that this will have consequences later on. So in the article, How Does Social Anxiety Cause Aggression Communication, states during aggressive communication, we stand up for ourselves in a way that is inappropriate and may violates the rights of others. This can lead to development of enemies and hurt relationship with loved ones. This can also inhibit our social skill and make future social situation much more difficult for us. For instance, in Mr. and Mrs. Smith, when they found out that they were working for two different assassin associations, they immediately tried to kill one another to force the other person out of the way so they can continue the way of life as they know. Instead of communication with each other, they assume that the other party only got involved because their marriage was a cover. They began to have aggressive communication when 7 p.m. and dinner's rolling around. They start to shout, have personal insult, verbal threats, and violence was also involved. So according to the article, Stressed Out, Be Assertive. Being assertive means that we express ourselves effectively and stand up for our point of view while also respect the rights and belief of others. When Mr. and Mrs. Smith was done fighting, they finally had their guns pointing at each other and neither one of them could pull the trigger. Once Mr. Smith puts down his gun to surrender, they ended up having a passionate night instead. When both parties finally calmed down, they started to use assertive communication. They told each other what they want and don't want, dislike and likes. They finally have mutual respect with one another and communicated rationally. I wanted to also bring up another example of how aggressive communication can hurt us. Aside from romantic relationship, our relationship with our children can be harmed if we don't know or we don't use better communication skills. So in the article, study verbal aggression may affect children behavior, it is hard to tell parents how to interact with their children based on one study. But what's shown with this study was that parents who have a propensity for being verbal aggressive have a tendency to try to direct and control their children during a play period, said Steve R. Wilson, a professor of communication who specialized in family issues. As a result of this, these children were less cooperative, and not only are their parents setting up situations that are challenging for them to handle, but they also are subtly undermining their children's self-esteem. So for my conclusion, we need to think before we speak, regardless if we're frustrated or how mad we are at the situation. We need to understand that everything has a consequence regardless of what it is we do, even with communication. Losing a best friend or losing a partner is not worth it just for the heat of the moment. You want to say something to make sure this person hurt as much as you. It's not always the answer, and of course being the bigger person is always harder than just trying to make it worse and argue and argue and argue. So that's all I have, guys. Thank you for listening.